everyone. Here we are at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. The beautiful nature here. This racetrack is embedded right into the nature and the hills. It's absolutely gorgeous here in the Steiermark. And also we're very excited because we've got fans back in the paddock on the grid. And that, of course, is super special atmosphere. And the man who's actually starting a pole position is Marco Vittman. May I come underneath your umbrella here into the shadow because it's pretty hot here in Spielberg. And you're in pole position. Are you going to be able to transfer it into victory like you did in Zolder? What do you think?
Well, that would be actually the ideal plan. Obviously, when you start on front, you have the best position to do so. But I think the first key is really to come clean after lap one back, really. Then obviously the big topic is strategy, when to stop, trying to stay then in front. I hope that we're going to have a good race car, and as you said, the plan is to refer to a win.
All right, well, best of luck. Thank you so much, Marco. And now here's a commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Welcome along then, everybody, to day two here at the Red Bull Ring. Chris Hartley to talk you through the 10th race of this 2021 DTM season. That's how the points stand after qualifying this morning. Kelvin Van Der Linde, 139 points. He scored 10 points this weekend. Max Scott's on 116, he's 23 behind. But the big winner this weekend so far has been Liam Lawson. He scored 30 from a possible 31 points. So an almost 100% record here. Got second on the grid for this race. He was on pole position yesterday and won his race, so he has got the gap down from 49 points at the start of the weekend. That's how the top three in the championship stand, and we can go back to the grid now and hear again from Verena.
And here I am with the man who's in P2, who's probably listening to cool music again, right? What are you listening to today?
The rest of Drake's album. I only got halfway through it. So,
all right.
No, it's a good position to start today's race. Obviously, we have the extra weight, so it's going to be tough. And I think we'll find out more or less what our pace is like in the first couple of laps. And then after that, we see really where we are.
All right, but you're third in the championship, but you're catching up to Maxi Götz, so anything is possible here.
Yeah, so far it's been good this weekend, points-wise. We need to continue that today and score even more points, because obviously that's the main target.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck for the race. Thank you so much. And we're going to try to grab Maxi Götz, who, as I said, is ahead of Liam in regards to the championship, but he's behind him in position. So let's find out, of course, Maxi we can also find here in the shadow. Hello there.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Good. So yeah, same side, different row, but yeah, I think it's all set for the race, and we will see with the weight ballast we have from yesterday. It's going to be more exciting for me, I guess. Yesterday it was quite easy controlling from the second place, but on fours I have to push more forward and also getting pressure from behind. So I think it's going to be more tough than yesterday.
And also, obviously, because you're second in the championship, you've got Liam catching up, so you got to be careful there.
Yes, of course. Both we have weight from yesterday. He a bit more than I have. So in the end, it's going to be interesting. So I think the Merc is quite good in degradation of tires or tire wear. Should be better for us in the race, especially in these hot conditions. Let's see. So it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. Best of luck, Maxi. Thank you so much. And let's try to grab the leader of the championship, who is Kelvin Van Der Linde. And speaking of heat, he's from South Africa, so he probably is totally used to the heat. And he's right here getting his helmet on. And maybe, hi there, just quickly before you get your helmet on, are you ready for the race?
I should be, yes. Everything is kind of going to plan so far, but we need to get a good start and just try and do everything to get a good start, like I said.
All right, well, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
So that, of course, was Sheldon Van Der Linde, but we're not going to grab Kelvin right now. Actually, he's still, you know what, why not try it? Because as long as I don't hear that we don't have time anymore, I'm going to try my best. So, again, the leader of the championship is a bit further in the back. We're not used to it. He's P7, but he's just putting on his cool shades because quite frankly, these brothers are really, really cool. And yeah, Sheldon is the leader of the championship, as I just mentioned. But hey there, good thing I still got you.
Yes.
P7. Oh, what you gonna do for the race? Come on.
Well, from P8 yesterday, we tried to do something for you guys on TV, so I hope you enjoyed that. I'm gonna try the same today, maybe one better, so let's see.
You always seem like such a rock star. Are you really that cool just before the race?
No, I'm really not. I'm actually very boring, but at the end of the day, we try our best.
All right. Well, good luck for the race, and I don't believe that, but thank you so much. He is a rock star. Here's your commentator.
He is, yeah, good guy is Kelvin, and always happy to have a chat. And yeah, tough weekend, but they've dragged something out of it. He said that 5th place yesterday felt a bit like a race win from 8th on the grid, and you know, he was very close to being in a podium position, which would have been a terrific effort. There's Max Buch, who's in for the full season now for Muka Motorsport. Peter Muka's Berlin-based squad, hugely experienced, not just in DTM, but in single-seater racing as well. Formula 3, Formula 4 in the past, and also racing historic DTM cars. This weekend is the team boss, Peter Muka, along with his son, Stefan. They're racing an ex-Klaus Ludwig Ford Capri, the turbo-powered Ford Capri this weekend, which was one of the cars used by the 3-time DTM champion. There's Nico Muller. Now, tyre degradation is not that high here at the Red Bull Ring, and we saw that yesterday in the race with Nico Muller going almost the entire race before he came in to make his mandatory stop, but still lapping fairly quickly. And this morning in qualifying, although he wasn't one of the quickest, he was able to put 3, 4, 5 consecutive lap times in, getting better and better as the session went on. So the tyres do last well here. Had a word with Amato Ferrari, the team boss at AF Corse. They run them, Lawson and Alex Alban. Before came up to the commentary box, and he said, yeah, our car really does handle well here, and I think it's better on the tyres than a lot of the other cars. So tyre degradation wasn't going to be an issue there. After his fine performance yesterday, Arjun Maini qualifying 3rd on the grid yesterday and coming home with his best result of the season in 6th. He's got a bit more work to do from the 5th row of the grid this time. Gerhard Berger, of course, a legend here in these parts, the ITR chairman, ex-Grand Prix racer, 48-time a podium finisher in Formula 1, 10 times a Grand Prix winner. And he's here. I've seen him down on the grid, getting involved as always. He never got the chance to race that many times in the Austrian Grand Prix because it came off the calendar not long into his Formula 1 career. Had 4 races, 4 Grand Prix here, but never got onto the podium. There's Alex Albon. Now, I spoke, as I say, to Amato Ferrari, who runs Alex's car, and asked him why Alex wasn't quite as high up the grid as I'd maybe expected, given how well he went in yesterday's race. And he said, oh, I had a problem with the tyre pressures, and the tyres during his fast lap just didn't work. So we definitely should be a lot higher up the grid than that. But he said with a twinkle in his eye, Alex is pretty good at overtaking, so it should be an entertaining race. It certainly was on fire yesterday, Alex Albon. To 4th place he came after a good battle with that man, Kelvin Van Der Linde, and both of them were on the case of Philip Ellis, who was relieved. He said it wasn't a nice race yesterday when I spoke to him after the race. It wasn't a nice race at all. I had all sorts of dramas at the start, 3-way battles with Sheldon Van Der Linde and Arjun Maini, and then I had Kelvin Van Der Linde and particularly Alex Albon breathing down my neck at the end of the race. And, you know, you're trying to drive your own race, he said, but you're also aware that they might just dive up the inside at any given moment. So I was having to go defensive on the last lap, but that was causing me trouble going out of the corner and into the next corner. So I was really on the back foot there, and he would have been relieved that Alex Albon's attempts to come around the outside of him towards the end of the race failed. There is Philip, really good guy, and having a superb first season in DTM. He has got GT experience in recent years, made his name in the Audi TT Cup, which used to support the DTM package, and won the championship in that. His dual nationality, and he's Swiss driver. And there, Max Gotts, who was trying to wind up Liam Lawson in the post-race press conference yesterday by saying, come on, you weren't pushing, you got more speed than that. Alex Albon was going as quick as you with success ballast on, so you were just playing with me, weren't you? And Liam was saying, no, I wasn't, I was going flat out. You kept coming after me. I don't know how you can say that. So a little bit of mind game start. It was all very smiley, though, and good rapport between the two drivers. Sheldon Van Der Linde, you heard from him on the grid with Farina. Due a bit of good luck. He hasn't had a break, has he, recently? Especially the last 2 weekends of the season. At Nürburgring, where he got into a podium position, and then some contact caused him to have wheel damage, had to pull off the circuit just as he got into that position. And then same again yesterday, really. He was on for a good result, and some contact with Vincent Abrel's Mercedes up at turn 3, and then into turn 4. The car just went straight on with the steering broken, and he was heartbroken. Took him a long time to get back to the paddock with his helmet on and head in hands. We saw his shots of him looking very down in the dumps, but he's a very jovial spirit, Sheldon, and very positive character. And he posted on social media after the events of yesterday, am I frustrated? More than you can possibly imagine. Am I going to stop smiling? No, never. We'll come back and fight again tomorrow. And that's exactly what he's done. Great drive for 3rd place. Although he said after qualifying, he could have had a little bit of a better lap. He didn't quite manage to nail the lap, so there might still be more to come from Sheldon Van Der Linde. But it's Marco Vittman who's on pole position in the Volkenhorst BMW. Let's see if he can get his 2nd win of the season. Welcome to Styria in Austria then, home to the Red Bull Ring. The circuit's surrounded by rolling hills, terrific views, and the region's also known for its fine vineyards. And if you like a tipple, there are around 800 wine taverns in Styria. The South Styrian Wine Road winds its way through the region's best-loved vineyards and farms. The countryside stretches for more than 16,000 square kilometres, and the state flag features the famous Lipizzaner horses, much revered in the equestrian world. The location for the circuit is truly breathtaking, with the region home to the largest alpine pasture area in Europe. An amazing setting for round 10 of DTM 2021. There's a view then of this wonderful 4.3 kilometre long circuit here, the Red Bull Ring, which has changed shape and length over the years from when it was first built in 1969 as the much longer Österreich ring with very fast long straights, which went beyond where turn 1 goes now. But lots of the original circuit layout remain. It's a very undulating circuit. You get a sense of the rise up to the hairpin at turn 3 from the TV pictures, but you don't really get to understand how steep that is until you come here for yourself and try and walk up it, as I did yesterday. It's beautiful once you get to the top, though. There's Gerhard Berger, the 10-time Grand Prix winner, the man behind DTM's successful new era. In this 2021 season, we've had 6 different winners, 10 different drivers on the podium, and the championship in the second half of the season is still absolutely wide open. Marco Vittman, the driver then that qualified on pole position, the first BMW to be on pole position at this circuit since 2016. And you can guess who the last driver to get pole position at BMW was that year, can't you? 5 years ago, it was the same guy, Marco Vittman. So he's on pole position. That year, BMW's had 2 wins. Marco took what was his second victory at the circuit. And Timo Glock was a winner that weekend as well, both still on the grid. It's the first time we've been to the circuit since 2018. And if Marco Vittman can get a race victory, it would be his 3rd at the circuit, and he would equal the record of René Rast, who's the only driver that's got that many wins at this venue. René is part of the German TV commentary team this weekend, and he's also doing some other media duties, and I saw him about an hour ago walking down the pit lane in his race suit, which must have put the fear of God into everybody else that was racing. But don't worry, he's not racing, he's just observing here this weekend and trying his hand at commentary after a successful season in the Formula E Championship. The 3-time DTM champion, René Rast, enjoying the racing here from the commentary box. Let's see what entertainment we've got in store in this latest 55-minute plus 1 lap encounter. So, a couple of stories to bring you after qualifying in terms of changes to grid positions. First of all, the newcomer to the grid, Maximilian Paul, in one of the T3 Motorsport Lamborghinis, he was deemed to have had an unsafe release from the pit lane during qualifying and has been given a 3-place grid penalty. So that puts him back to 17th on the grid. And Esme Hawkey has opted for what's known as a joker tyre. So you get your allocation of tyres during the course of a weekend. If you have a damaged tyre, you can ask for up to 2 new tyres during the course of the weekend. So she had a damaged tyre. She's had that replaced with a new tyre, but the consequence of that is that she has to start the race at the back of the grid. So Esme Hawkey starting at the back of the grid. So the 2 of the Lamborghinis there dropping grid positions. Moves 1 or 2 others up, including Daniel Hankadea, who will move up to 14th place. Grabbed a word with Danny around about an hour ago down in what was a very hot pit lane, and he said that they're just struggling with the setup a little bit. So we're just a little bit lost at the moment. We can't quite get to grips with it. And the brakes, he said, is the biggest problem. We just can't get the car working under braking. So it's been a bit frustrating. It's a new team to DTM. Danny, of course, lots of experience in DTM. But he did say we're trying something a bit radical for this one, so we'll see if it works. But he looked a little bit downcast. So engines fired up. The grid begins to be cleared. For the record, the air temperature is just under 22 degrees, so it's perfectly pleasant. But I have to say, when walking down the pit lane, I've been down the pit lane a couple of times earlier, catching up with drivers and team managers, it felt a lot hotter than that. You know, a bit of a sun trap down there. I noticed a lot of the drivers opted to stay off the grid, and as you often see on grids on hot days, sit themselves in the shade offered by the grandstand that you can see to the right of your picture there, up against the barriers. They were sitting as long as possible to try and keep cool. Remember, it's going to be much hotter in the cockpits of the cars, about 20 degrees hotter than the ambient temperature. Track temperature has shot up again. Qualifying this morning, it was 24 degrees. It's now 41.5 degrees, the track temperature. So I think a slightly different beast than we had in yesterday's race. Top three as they head off onto the formation lap from yesterday's race have to carry success ballast now into this one. So from second on the grid, Liam Lawson will have 25 kilograms of success ballast added to the car. But as his team boss said to me earlier, the benefit is his teammates, Alex Alban, had the same weight added to his car yesterday, so we know what to do in terms of getting the right setup. And then we've got yesterday's second place finisher, Max Gotts, starts fourth on the grid. He'll have 18 kilograms of success ballast, and Philip Ellis, who's just behind him, fifth on the grid. In the next of the Mercedes, will have 15 kilograms of ballast on board. Ellis has been a very, very quick starter so far this year. He said the trouble is, I have these good starts and try different things like going around the outside at Zolder on Saturday. People watch the footage and then they try and do the same on Sunday as what I did on Saturday. So it becomes a bit more difficult to make ground up at the start of the race. Not that he has to make much ground up because Philip with a good grid position. So they'll shape up as follows for this 10th round of the championship. Marco Vittman with a 1:27.892 second lap starts on pole position in the Volkenhorst Motorsport BMW. Last time he was on pole, he won the race at Zolder. He's 26 thousandths of a second clear of Liam Lawson, that's all. Liam said he made a couple of quick early mistakes on his lap, so he could have been on pole, but he's in a great position. 2/10 slower with Kelvin Van Der Linde, who starts third. Max Gotts is alongside him fourth. On row 3, Philip Ellis and Lucas Auer. Row 4, Kelvin Van Der Linde from 7th on the grid, looking to make good progress forward again with Vincent Abrel alongside him. Alex Alban, who the team reckoned had the pace to be up where Liam is, but that tyre pressure problem puts him 9th on the grid. Arjun alongside 10th on the grid. Then on row 6, we can have Timo Glock and Nico Muller. Row 7, starting 13th, Max Buch, 14th, Daniel Hungadea, 15th, Rockenfeller, and then you've got Esteban Moot, 16th. After that, 3-place grid penalty. Paul starts 14th, Florsch 15th, Gore 16th, and 18th and 19th, and then 20th on the grid after changing the tyre. Esme Hawkey is going to start at the back of the grid in her Lamborghini after picking up damage in yesterday's race early on with some contact on the opening lap. Hopefully she'll have a better handling car this time around. So Chris Hartley to talk you through what's going to be 55 minutes plus 1 lap of racing. The rolling start will get underway very shortly. Safety car has peeled off. Marco Vittman on pole position with yesterday's winner and the man that scored 30 out of 31 points so far this weekend. Liam Lawson alongside the 19-year-old who's getting set to see if he can close the gap still further at the top of the championship table. We're about to go racing as they thunder over the start-finish line, roar into life, and it's a good start for Marco Vittman. There's lots of action going on further back. Kelvin Van Der Linde trying to find positions into turn 1. It's close for 3rd place once again. Max Gotts and Sheldon Van Der Linde going side by side. Vittman and Lawson the top 2. And Sheldon Van Der Linde still just about has his nose in front of Max Gotts. He'll have the inside line going up into the next braking zone as they go down to first gear then for this hairpin. So Gotts surely he's going to have to back off here, but he can't back off too much with everybody queued up just behind him, including Lucas Auer and Philip Ellis. On the Sports Line Audis goes way out wide. Sophia Florsch goes out a little bit wide as well, coming out the exit, well, a lot wide coming out of the exit of turn 3. And Max Gotts is still trying to be 3rd here, hanging it around the outside in the pink number 4 Mercedes. It's side by side just behind as well as Lucas Auer tries a move on Philip Ellis. In the end, Van Der Linde holds on to 3rd, Gotts 4th, Ellis holds on to 5th, and Lucas Auer now on the back foot, coming under pressure from the yellow HRT Mercedes of Vincent Abrel as they go to the high-speed section in the middle of the lap. Great start, though, for Marco Vittman, who's free of success ballast for this one. He goes through in the lead of the race. Arjun kicks up the gravel. He's side by side with the second of the big Mercedes, the Group M run car of number 8, Daniel Hungadea, the 30-year-old from Barcelona. And on board now with Kelvin Van Der Linde, trying to make up ground here, but still at the moment behind Vincent Abrel. And there is somebody who pulled off some good overtakes yesterday. Alex Alban, number 23, getting ahead of Daniel Hungadea. So starting to make up some ground potentially during the course of this race. The mandatory pit stop, everybody has to come in once. That pit window opens after the leader has crossed the line of the 5th lap of the race. Arjun in the background coming under fire on the way into turn 1 from Max Buch, who gets through. Good move in the Buch Motorsport Mercedes to overtake him for 12th place. At the end of the first lap of the race, Marco Vittman 1 second clear of Liam Lawson. Sheldon Van Der Linde 3rd, Gotts 4th, Ellis 5th, and Auer in 6th place. Arjun now on the back foot going uphill as they climb in towards the turn 3 hairpin. And there is Timo Glock on the outside, on the inside, coming through, Kelvin Van Der Linde. So 8th place, dropped a position on the opening lap of the race. Timo Glock tried to come through, but couldn't. Flashing the lights, just on the back foot a little bit at the moment, is Arjun. Kelvin Van Der Linde still manages to keep Timo Glock at bay. Arjun loses another place at turn 4 to Esteban Moot. And he's going to have Nico Muller having a go as well next. So it's been a ragged first couple of laps for Arjun. Hopefully he'll settle back into his rhythm. He's trying to get back on the outside of Esteban Moot, but at least he'll be able to keep the next queue of cars behind him. So lots of action there in the second half of the field. Vincent Abril, Timo Glock and Daniel Hunkedair amongst those that gained positions on the opening lap of the race. Hunkedair's up to 11th position last time he came through, just behind Alex Alban, who lost a bit of time initially, and was actually 1 place lower than he started, down in 10th place currently. Vittman stretching his legs, goes through. 129.958 for him, 129.996 for Lawson, so almost matching his pace despite the weight on the car was Liam Lawson, just a few thousandths of a second between them. See the cars running wide and ragged over the curbs here. Lots of drivers losing time and losing their laps because of track limits issues there. As Max Gotts creeps through, he's got his nose in front, and is that Sheldon Van Der Linde with a problem again? He's going slowly. Did he have a moment coming out of the corner, or has he got an issue because he's tumbling down the order here in the Rover Racing BMW, the number 31 car? I'm afraid he's got an issue. More cars pass him, including his teammate Timo Glock and Alex Alban. And the guy just cannot catch a break at the moment. More problems with the car after another excellent qualifying performance. So he's tumbling down the order and almost certainly headed for the pits unless somehow they can reset the car. But it does not look good, I'm afraid, for Sheldon. So that puts Gotts up ahead of him and up into 3rd place now. Ellis to 4th, Auer to 5th. And the gap from 1st to 2nd grows a bit more to 1.2 seconds through the previous sector time. On board with Lucas Auer, who's made a good start to the race, the Austrian driver, who says this is his highlight of the season, his favourite place to come, home race. Lots of fans and friends and family here supporting Lucas as well. It's not far off the case of the number 57 Team Winward Mercedes of his teammate, which is Philippe Ellis. There, a replay of Sheldon Van Der Linde slowing down. It's a right rear puncture. He's had a clip. So there, the tyre coming away from the car. So he will be able to carry on, but he's going to have to come into the pits, and he can't count this as a mandatory stop, can he? Because it's only the 4th lap of the race. So limping back, somebody clipped him. Gotts was the one that was right behind him, and that's really going to punish him. Somehow stay on the lead lap. They might have a chance with a safety car later on, but more bad luck. All these 3 incidents have been related to contact that have put him either out of the race or down the order over the last 3 races. So there's Gotts up to 3rd. You can see Sheldon coming into the pits just in front of me. So he's made it back to the pits. That's one thing at least. Ellis 4th, Auer, his teammate 5th. Remember, Ellis has got a heavier car with that 15 kilograms of success ballast added on, which does make a huge difference when the cars are so evenly matched. Quickly away then for Van Der Linde, but it's before the pit window opens. He's going to have to come in again, which is even more frustrating. But at least he's back in the race. Nothing to lose now. And I suspect that will adjust the strategy as well. So lots of drivers coming in early on in the race yesterday to make their pit stops. And that might be a case of Sheldon now going long, trying something different. So he drops, I'm afraid, the very back of the field in 20th place. Just promoted his brother up 1 position amongst everybody else, so he's up to 7th place now. Just ahead of Sheldon's teammate, Timo Glock, who's looking for a 3rd consecutive points finish. Alban's moved up to 9th. Daniel Hunkedair has moved up to 10th, so into the points for Danny now. And their 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th come through. Kelvin Van Der Linde trying to attack, but also keeping an eye on Timo Glock. He looks pretty racy at the start of this one. Timo, good progress from 11th on the grid in the number 16 Rover Racing BMW. The top 2 are gone, though. Here's Timo trying to come around the outside of Kelvin Van Der Linde. Good luck with that. That's not going to happen. Gets a little tap wide, and then he's on the back foot because Alex Alban gets the better run coming out of the corner. Downhill now towards turn 4. And maybe an opportunity for Alex to have a luck down the inside. Is he close enough? No, he's not, because Timo's got back away from him and inching back up towards the tail of Kelvin Van Der Linde. So they make their way through turn 5 down towards quick left-handers at 6 and 7. Marco Vittman 1.1 seconds clear on this lap. Absolute best first sector time for Liam Lawson, so he's 0.2 quicker through the through the middle sector of the lap. He was 1/10 quicker through the first sector. Absolute best middle sector. He's 0.3 quicker on this lap, Liam Lawson, so far. So the gap coming down from first to second. The gap from Liam to Max Gotze is pretty big as Philip Ellis, Vincent Abril, Timo Glock, Alex Alban and others all make their way into the pits. So a lot of the top 10 runners coming in, and Marco Vittman, ahead of them all, has already got back to the pits. So the race leader in for an early stop, as early as it could be. Ellis comes in. There's Glock, Alban, Max Buch, Esteban Moot, and Mike Rockenfeller, who was a late pit stopper yesterday, has an early pit stop this time around. Best pit stop time yesterday came from HRT. Lightning stop for Max Gotze at 5.8 seconds. But good pit stops are somewhere between 6.5 and 8 seconds generally. That was a really good pit stop yesterday, though. Not a great pit stop. 11.9 seconds for Timo Glock, 8.9 for Max Buch. So Glock is surely going to drop down the order with this. 7.7 seconds for Abt for Mike Rockenfeller. That's a good stop. Not so good for Esteban Moot. So, yeah, there is Timo Glock. Would have lost ground because of that. And so Mike Rockenfeller is much, much closer to the tail of him now. So the two German drivers heading uphill. The ex-Grand Prix racer, followed by the ex-DTM champion, Max Buch. Absolutely, though, ahead of Timo Glock. So that pit stop costing Rover Racing and the BMW driver. Liam Lawson now picks up the lead over the race. His last lap was the best lap of the race, 1:29.766. So before the pit stops, I reckon if they'd finished the lap, he would have been about a second behind. He'd got the gap down by 3 or 4 tenths of a second. And he comes in the lap after. So this is it. Really good pit stop required here for AF Corsa. Amato Ferrari's team, well versed in pit stops, usually in their GT experience with driver changes as well. Max Gotze has come in as well, and Lucas Auer. Right in front of me down below, I can see the pit stops. It's a decent getaway. Liam Lawson gets out just before Arjamani comes down the pit lane to come in for his stop. And Max Gotze behind. So can Liam get out in front of still, or get out in front of his rival Marco Vittman? Was Marco still going to be in front? There was a second between them. Remember, Marco's tyres are going to be up to temperature. There's the BMW to the right of your picture. Lawson might come out just in front of him. There's a good stop from the team, but he's still got to get his tyres up to temperature. The gap's pretty big now, but you're on board with Marco Vittman, who has lost the net lead of the race here to Liam Lawson, but he'll close that gap by the time they get to the top of the hill. He'll probably close it further still for the next few corners until Liam gets the tyres up to temperature about halfway around the lap. But that's a big turnaround from being a second down. He must be, what, 1.5 seconds clear, I would say. We'll wait and see what the timing screen says, but 2.5 seconds clear. So pit stop worked well. Just a little stumble as the engine dropped, and a front left puncture for Alex Alban. So he understeers wide with only 3 working tyres. He's headed for the pits as well. And that's Vincent Abril just ahead of your onboard camera of Lucas Auer here. The two Mercedes having a really good scrap at the moment, battling away. Vincent Abril's got the inside line. Lucas Auer has been pretty racy so far this weekend, trying to go around the outside and carry the speed. There's a bit of contact between them. He's got to keep his foot in here. Lucas Auer does eventually have to back off and tuck back in behind the Monegasque driver. The number 5 machine just about staying ahead. Abril having already made his pit stop, and Lucas Auer looking to come in. Sophia Florsch has come in to make her pit stop. She stayed out late yesterday, but again has decided the early strategy seems to be the better one here. So Kelvin Van Der Linde has picked up the lead for now, but yet to make a pit stop. Same for Hunkedaer in second, Muller in third, Paul in fourth, and Gore in fifth. Lawson's going to be in sixth once he comes across the line, and he's effectively the leader of the race now. He's the first of the pit stoppers, with Vittman 1.2 seconds behind. So more than 2 seconds gained during that pit stop phase from Liam Lawson. It's a good pit stop, but it must have also been a good in-lap from Liam Lawson to make that happen. He was flying just beforehand. Now, a replay of Alex Albon's pit stop. Shortly before, we saw him have this front left puncture. Away he went, back he comes. Well, many, myself included, would have thought Alex would have had a really good chance of going for a race win today after finishing an impressive fourth with the Success Ballas yesterday, but it is not the case. And there's what's left of his Michelin slick tyre, plumb in the middle of the racetrack. Alex has gone back out, or is about to go back out. He's just been released by the team. So he heads down the pit lane now. And tyres being readied at Abt Sportsline as well for Kelvin Van Der Linde, who comes in. So Van Der Linde and Hunkerdea, the top two on the road, come in. Nico Muller is going to pick up the lead. He led yesterday before he made his pit stop. Alban comes out then, but way down the path behind Maximilian Paul. So, on board with Liam Lawson. Things going his way at the moment. Can he get another race victory? He's already the only driver this season to score 2 podiums on a race weekend. Could he get 2 race wins on a weekend and make a first of that as well? Kelvin Van Der Linde has come out still just ahead of Daniel Hunkerdea. He's going to come out behind that battle that's been going on between Vincent Abril and Lucas Auer. So it'll be 12th on the road, I reckon, for Kelvin Van Der Linde, but with others ahead of him still to make their pit stops. And then you've got Daniel Hunkerdea having to watch the mirrors here, because having a look at the inside is Arjun Maini. Maini goes through down the inside as Danny tries to get his tyres up to temperature, and Mike Rockenfeller in the pits, out of the race. It's not been a good weekend for Mike. No points scored here after what's been a pretty good season thus far. Still, this battle goes on between Hunkerdea and Maini. Hunkerdea down the inside as he gets his tyres up to temperature. Max Book just behind. 3 Mercedes all grouped together. Maini has to concede the position in the end. So Rockenfeller, the first driver out, but we've had Sheldon Van Der Linde and Alex Alban with tyre issues for different reasons, who are at the back of the field now in 18th and 19th places, respectively. Alban a lap down, I think, as well. Into the pits comes Maximilian Paul to make his pit stop, trying to make progress from 17th on the grid. So Nico Muller leads. Paul has come in from what was 2nd place. Van Der Linde and Hunkerdea in. Dev Gould's come in as well. And so Liam Lawson will be up to 2nd place, the only driver ahead of him, Muller, who's yet to make a pit stop, and will fall down to the mid-pack once he does so. You can see Paul to the left in the T3 Motorsports Lamborghini about to come back out. Kelvin Van Der Linde edging away from that battle between Hunkerdea and Maini and Book. So the Audi pulling away from the 3 Mercedes. Liam Lawson's last lap time, a 1:29.620, his best lap of the race so far. So the car is handling very well indeed. Arjun Maini not close enough to have another go at the inside of Daniel Hunkerdea. So through they go. Liam Lawson's gap to Marco Vittman, though, beginning to decrease. Marco sets the absolute best first sector time. Get a replay of the start then. Marco Vittman comfortably ahead going into turn 1. Liam Lawson settled into 2nd place, and then that battle between Sheldon Van Der Linde and Max Gotts, which began right at the very start of the race on the run into turn 1. Replay on board with Liam Lawson. This is how the start looked from his perspective, staying as close as he could to Marco Vittman, closing the door then to make sure nobody snuck through from behind. And that is how it looks from the helicopter shot. Absolutely side by side, wasn't it, for 5th and 6th positions. Philip Ellis doing his best to hold on to the place, and successfully so. And then Liam Lawson coming in to make his pit stop at the same time of Max Gotts, who was battling with yesterday. So we have had everybody in the pits except for Nico Muller already. So Nico, again, perhaps trying something different here. We know he can look after his tyres after yesterday's race, and this morning's qualifying, he proved that. He's proven it time and time again, but it's been a very difficult season so far for Nico. Just the 1 podium from race 2 back at Monza. So he's 15 seconds clear, but including your stationary time in and out, you're looking at 30 to 33 seconds to make a pit stop based on yesterday's times. There is the gap between Liam Lawson and Marco Vittman. It was 2nd and 3rd on the track, but are really the 2 drivers battling for the race win here, and 2 drivers up there in the championship, 3rd and 4th in the championship, going for the race win here. Gotts is a net 3rd, Ellis a net 4th, Abril going well, a net 5th, Auer a net 6th, Kelvin Van Der Linde, where he started, in a net 7th place ahead of Hunkerdea, Maini and Max Book, who should be in the points once Nico Muller makes his stop. The danger with staying out longer, which might be the reason you see a lot of the drivers coming in early, is because if a safety car comes out now, that's curtains really for Nico Muller. He's time advantage will have gone, and he will still have to make a pit stop. So effectively cost him 15 seconds. So while the battle continues out on circuit between Liam Lawson and Marco Vittman, we can go down to the pit lane now and hear from Verena.
No luck for Mike Rockenfeller. Rocky, talk us through it. What happened? Why did the race have to end?
Well, I mean, we did the start, and then we wanted to come in early for the safety car, which we did. And already after the stop, the brake pedal felt really strange. I continued, and then going into corner 7, I think I was following Timo Glock. The pedal went through, and I don't know what's the issue, but we have to investigate. And then I couldn't decelerate the car anymore, and then we decided to box. I mean, anyway, we were not in the best position, but still, you never know. Huh? Still a long race, and quite disappointed.
I bet you are, but safety first. Thank you so much, Rocky. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. It was all looking good for Mike, wasn't it? Up until that second race at the Nürburgring last time out. He'd been in the points in every single race and was doing well in the championship, but got involved in that incident was on the back end of that incident between Liam Lawson and Kelvin Van Der Linde. None finished there, non-point score yesterday, none finished today. So having not been out of the points, he's had 3 races on the bounce now where he hasn't scored a point. So disappointing weekend for the 2013 champion Mike Rockenfeller, still the only retiree from the race. So Sheldon Van Der Linde has made a pit stop, but not his mandatory stops. He's, as I suspected, going to go long. So you're still waiting for Muller to come in, but you're also at the tail end of the field, still waiting for Sheldon Van Der Linde to come in and make his stop. Still on the lead lap, though. He really needs a safety car to give himself any chance of getting up the order into a points-paid position, though, I suspect. Right, gap between Lawson and Whitman is down to 0.8 of a second. So Marco Vittman pushing on still, keeping the pressure up, just like Max Gotts did yesterday on Liam Lawson. Difference this time is that Liam has gained a place from his grid position. So this was a look at Timo Glock versus Maximilian Paul, the high-speed left-hander through turn 6. Good move, and just about enough room given there for the BMW to come through. So that's up to 12th place for Timo, teammate to Sheldon Van Der Linde, looking for his 3rd points finish on the bounce, as we've got Daniel Hunkadea back ahead of Kelvin Van Der Linde. So that's a change for 8th place. He points forward. Come on, let's go. Let's work together. There might be smart boxing this from Kelvin. He might have felt, actually, Daniel's much quicker than me. If I try and defend, I'm going to hold both of us up. Let him through, follow him. See if we can work together to close the gap to Lucas Auer, who's there in 7th place and about 1.8 seconds up the road. But Hunkadea much quicker. You see he's already pulling away. So Kelvin Van Der Linde trying to box smart here. He's not got much pressure from behind. Arjun Maini in 10th place is a couple of seconds behind him. So just under 35 minutes of the race remaining. Nico Müller only 11.8 seconds clear now. If best case scenario, his pit stop in and out included takes 30 seconds. At the moment, that would put him down to 12th place. If it takes 33, 34 seconds, it could be about 14th. They could still get some points out of this, Nico. His last lap time was 1:30.6. His best is a 1:30.3. So again, Nico Müller, tyre degradation, not an issue. He's looking after them well. So this, we rejoined as Daniel Hunkadea was ahead of Kelvin Van Der Linde, and we're about to see how it happened. Put the indicator on, didn't he? So as suspected from the hand gesticulations, Kelvin made life easy there for Danny. Said, you know what, you're quicker. You come through, I'll try and follow you. Let's not hold each other up. Let's try and work together. And we saw yesterday at the end of the race, Kelvin was another driver good at looking after his tyres. After a relatively early pit stop, he was very quick during those closing stages, trying to get the most out of the Audi. He's the only Audi up there in the points at the moment, so he's outperforming the car at the moment, you suspect. Next best Audi is Sophia Florsch in 15th place. Dev Gould 17th, Mike Rockenfeller out of the race. There is Nico Müller then. Alex Albon behind him, but it's 1st versus 19th, because Alex is a lap down, but he could unlap himself here, which will be absolutely key if a safety car comes out and gets him back onto the pack. Number 31, Sheldon Van Der Linde, as Alban goes through, is getting a warning for disrespecting track limits, and he's not the only one. Philip Ellis has had a warning, Maximilian Paul has had a warning, and Esme Hawkey also has recently had a warning, and Max Book as well. So get a couple of warnings and then they start getting time penalties. So Alex Alban unlaps himself. It could be important. His last lap of 1:30.2, despite coming through the traffic, so he's still absolutely flying. And Kelvin Van Der Linde comes into the pits. This will be his mandatory stop now. Last time he came into the pits was just to change the tyre before the pit window opened. But they're not looking like they're ready to send him out anytime soon, are they? I'm afraid he's going to park it. That's the end of the race. So 4th on the grid yesterday, 3rd on the grid today, all boding well for a bag full of points. And on both occasions, contact has scuppered his chances. So it's 0 points from the races for Kelvin Van Der Linde. Just that point he picked up this morning for getting 3rd place in qualifying. As I said yesterday, sometimes all the bad luck seems to come at once, all in a row. Hopefully he'll get it out of the way and have a better run for the final 3 weekends of the season. So there is Liam Lawson coming through. Marco Vittman staying with him. 2nd and 3rd on the road, but really battling for the lead of the race. There's the pole sitter, Marco Vittman, lost out to Liam Lawson during the pit stop phase. The gap between them still 0.8 of a second, nothing between them in terms of pace. Last time around, through the final sector though, Marco Vittman set the absolute best final sector time. So he's gritting his teeth here, digging in. The double champion, 2 times a winner here at Spielberg, trying to get back into 1st position. Still very much a championship contender. 7 points behind Liam Lawson coming into the race. And the difference between 1st and 2nd, 7 points, 25 for a win, 18 for 2nd. So if he could get ahead of Liam Lawson, they'd be equal on points coming out of the weekend. If he stays behind him and Lawson wins, then Lawson's going to be 14 points clear of him. Liam has pulled back 20 points on Kelvin Van Der Linde so far this weekend. He was 49 points behind on Friday. By the time we get to the race on Sunday afternoon, he's 29 points behind. And outscoring him again. Liam in a position to win the race and get 25 points currently. Kelvin Van Der Linde, assuming Nico Müller drops out of the top 10 once he makes his pit stop, Kelvin will be in 8th place. So that'll be 4 points. That'll be 21 points gained just in this race, if it stays like this. And he's 29 behind, so at the end of the weekend, Liam Lawson could just be 8 points behind Kelvin Van Der Linde with 3 weekends to go. So Kelvin could do with gaining a bit of time here, and he could also do with Marco Vittman. Despite the fact that Marco is also championship rival, he could probably do with Marco Vittman getting that BMW ahead of the Ferrari. Great job here, though, by the 19-year-old. He's got all the weight on the car. 25 kilograms of success ballast. There's no ballast on Marco Vittman's car, and there's nothing between them. Ferrari well set up, but you have to say it's been driven beautifully this weekend by Liam Lawson. It's been stunning so far. You got 30 out of 31 in an exam, you'd be very pleased, wouldn't you? And if he wins this race, this is going to be 55 points from a possible 56 over the course of the weekend. Not bad. So, 2 retirees, Kelvin Van Der Linde, luckless at the moment, and Mike Rockenfeller, likewise. Everybody else still running. Alex Alban back in 18th place. Max Gotts, 2nd in the championship, leading Mercedes. 5 Mercedes on the trot here. You got Gotts, Ellis, Abril, Auer and Hunkadea, 4th down to 8th, all in a line. So Max Gotts, how far is he? He's a long way behind Marco Vittman. 7.1 seconds behind him. Remember, more weight on the car. But he's very good at picking up the points. Marco Vittman has been in the points in every single race so far this season. And Max Gotts is one of the drivers to be in the points in every race but one. His record of late, excellent. Last 4 races, 2 seconds, 2 fourths. And it could be another top 4 finish here for Max Gotts as he climbs the hill into the braking zone for the right-hander at turn 1. Push +5, it says. Nico Müller now gets a warning for disrespecting track limits, and so too Daniel Hunkadea. Vittman looks a bit closer as they come out of the next turn. Yeah, the gap down to half a second now, so he's found a couple of tenths or so. And he's within striking distance now. Liam Lawson's got to try and fend him off for just 28 minutes, plus 1 lap. Car twitches under braking the Ferrari. Marco Vittman is coming. But catching and passing, as we all know, 2 completely different entities. can overtake around here, but as Liam found out yesterday when he was trying to pass Nico Muller on old tyres, it's not that easy. The obvious place is up at the hairpin at turn 3, but you know that's coming, and as the driver ahead, you are able to defend. I asked Liam what it was like in terms of the mindset yesterday when, you know, with 10 minutes to go in a race, you want to be the leader. That's where you want to be, of course, but with that comes the pressure, especially the pressure that was coming from Max Scotts yesterday, of having to push perhaps harder than you would ideally like to. So I said, where's the balance in the mindset between just driving the race and doing your own thing, but also knowing what the guy behind is doing and how you need to respond to that? And Liam was like, well, no, I know from my engineer, I'm asking my engineer every sector what the difference is. I knew which sectors, which areas of the track, the middle of the track where I was quicker. So I was always aware of what Max was doing. I couldn't control the gap, I could control what I was doing. He said, but what they say is true. When you get to the last few laps of the race, it starts to count down. You know you're getting close to the victory, and you start to hear all sorts of funny noises in the car. He said, I felt a vibration yesterday for the last few laps of the race. There was nothing wrong with the car. It was just me getting paranoid, thinking, come on, just hold together. Come on, I've just got to get this win. I need this win. So that pressure is something else you have to deal with. Top line sport is not easy. Only 19 years old. Pretty impressive single-seater pedigree up to this point. Still very much a single-seater career path set for him as he competes in the FIA Formula 2 Championship. There's 2 podiums, including a win in that. Won the first round of the championship this year, did Liam Lawson. He's had a bit of a break from it, but he's back in action at Monza next weekend in Formula 2. I say a break from Formula 2 because he's still been very busy with this DTM programme. But started his career in Formula 4, first in New Zealand. Was the Formula 4 1600 champion in New Zealand, and then graduated racing in Europe, raced in the ADAC, the German Formula 4 championship, was a runner-up in that. He was a Toyota Racing Series champion as well. It's a very well-supported and well-known championship that runs over the winter months in New Zealand. So great single-seater pedigree and doing a fine job in DTM. He is your net leader at the moment as we head back down to Verena in the pit lane.
And I'm here with Kelvin Van Der Linde. Sheldon, earlier you were still so hopeful when we spoke before the race. Then you had a puncture. We thought you got it fixed, but now you ended the race. Why?
Yeah, well, to be honest, first of all, the puncture just came out of nowhere, so no contact with Maxi Goods behind me or anything. So I don't understand what's wrong with my luck at the moment. It's hard to describe. Very disappointing, of course. And we just decided to pull the car out because it makes no sense to drive further and waste the tires for the next weekend. So yeah, that's why we retired the car.
All right, thank you very much, Sheldon.
Thank you.
Hopefully the luck comes back. It's really devastating, obviously.
Yeah,
back to the commentator.
Yeah, poor Sheldon, it's like I said, just not happening for him at the moment. So it's good to get the information, though, that Sheldon was saying, look, I didn't get hit. It wasn't contact this time. It was just out of nowhere. And they were running pretty close together early on. We didn't see any contact, but that's the first thing you suspect when you see a rear tyre, that it's had a bit of a nudge from behind. It was the case in the previous 2 retirements, but not this one. So nothing that Max Scotts did, just more bad luck. Super slow-mo riding the curbs here for Liam Lawson. 0.7 of a second ahead of Marco Vittman last time they came through. And Liam Lawson, through the middle of this lap, pulling a couple of tenths further clear. Vittman was in the middle of the lap anyway. Vittman was quicker by 2 tenths in the first sector. Middle sector, Lawson was 2 tenths quicker. End result, they're about the same gap apart, as you can see. Nothing between them. There's Nico Muller, the race leader, but yet to make his mandatory stop. He's 4.6 seconds clear now. Warning for Alex Alban for track limits. He won't be that worried about it because he's back in 18th place anyway. So Kelvin Van Der Linde saying, look, we couldn't get anything out of the race, barring something monumental happening out on track, so save the tyres. And you might think, what does he mean, save the tyres? Well, they get 3 sets of new slicks to use throughout the course of each race weekend. That means you need some used tyres, really, to run in your free practice sessions to set the car up. So that's the thinking. Save a reasonable good set of tyres that haven't done that much running for free practice at the next round, and see if we can get that one up and running and change the lap there. So Nico Muller's last lap, 1:30.4, 1:29.7 for Liam Lawson. Muller's going to go long. Is he going to give himself time to use the new slicks? Unlike yesterday, or the newer slicks, unlike yesterday where he came in at the last possible moment, right at the end of the race, on the last lap, the last but 1 lap of the race. So Lawson comes through, the net leader. Vittman in second, 0.7 of a second between them. almost matching each other's lap times identically for the last 4 or 5 laps. Max Scott's on for a potential podium. He's 4th, but it'll be a net 3rd. And Philip Ellis going well once again. Philip said yesterday, I tend to have one good race, one bad race so far this season, other than at the Lausitz Ring, where he did a really good weekend, a win and a 4th. So he was hoping to get some decent points with the weight on the car. That he's doing. There he comes through the shot, the number 57 Mercedes. And there's his teammate, the black and white number 22 machine of Lucas Auer. Still running well, but still behind Vincent Abril, with Daniel Hunkedaer just behind. Hunkedaer last time round 3/10 quicker, so he's catching up. So Lucas Auer could do with getting past Vincent Abril here, because this pink bullet is coming in the mirrors, coming fast. Danny said to me, we've tried something a bit different, a bit radical with the setup on the car, and particularly with mind to the brakes and the braking system, so it's working, I would say. We got on the podium for the first time this season at the Nürburgring last time out, but he said that was maybe just an anomaly. Generally, we've struggled with the car everywhere. But whatever they've done is working, and he's driving it well, Daniel Hunkedaer. 8th at the moment, he's a net 7th, and he's got a couple of cars, 3 cars just in front of him. Could get a top 6 finish out of this. Muller comes through. Alex Alban's half tyre still stranded in the middle of the road. Through turn 9, and then through turn 10 they come to complete the lap. Careful not to put all 4 wheels over the curbs there. Philip Ellis said something interesting to me yesterday. He said turn 1, you can feel the change in the tarmac when you've gone beyond the track limit, so you know what you've done. There's that sausage curb there you just saw Liam Lawson riding, so you know when you've gone too far there, or where you're on the limit. But coming out of turn 9, he said there's no real change in the feel of the car. There's no sausage curb there, so you have to guess really where you are to get as close to the track limits as you can, to be as quick as you can through the corner, but without going beyond them. So it's pretty tricky. Something that's definitely on their minds. Liam Lawson said he was perhaps a bit cautious through the end of his lap in qualifying, because he didn't want to lose it to track limits issues. And in the end, it was only 26 thousandths of a second away from pole position. If he had got that pole, he could have been on for a maximum possible score this weekend. As it is, he's only going to lose, as I say, 1 point. So, Vincent Abril, number 5, under continued pressure here from the number 22 of 5-time DTM winner, Lucas Auer. Starting to dance around in the mirrors now, but he in turn, he's having to defend from Daniel Hunkedaer in the Gruppe M machine. Hong Kong-based team, new to DTM this season. So, job to be done here from Lucas to attack and defend. It's going to be difficult. The likeable Austrian pushing hard here, and the only thing is if he goes for a move, it's got to be absolutely perfect, because if he has to back off out of it, he's going to lose his own position here, which he'll absolutely know. Experienced DTM racer these days, Lucas Auer, even though he's still one of these drivers that's been around for a long time, is still a young driver relatively, and his name initially in single-seater racing. But this race was more than 100 race starts now in DTM. 5 wins, 13 podiums, 9 pole positions. So experienced driver Lucas Auer. He's still only in his mid-20s, 26 years of age. DTM debut 6 years ago. Right, Marco Vittman, you're right on board with him now. He's just lost a tiny bit of time, but only a 10th on that previous lap, so still within a second. There's Nico Muller in the 51 Team Rosberg Audi. Leads the race. 30-second pit stop at best. That's what you're going to get. That would put him down to 13th place at the moment. But with a few cars grouped together in and around 10th, 11th, 12th, if he gets in that group, has some new tyres on, and has enough time to use them and push through, he might still be able to get a 9th or 10th place finish out of this. There's his time. I mean, his lap times are not going off at all. 1 minute 30.6 versus a 1:30.369 as his best. So he's keeping the pace going. What he will start to think about soon, though, I reckon, is if Liam Lawson and Marco Vittman get on top of him, then that could hold him up. He could start suddenly to have a couple of slow laps, and that will ruin his chances. He's not really battling with those two. He's battling with people in and around 10th place. That might ruin his chances. So if they catch him, he might just either let them through or then make his pit stop and come in. So almost a repeat of yesterday, where Liam Lawson has to deal with Nico Muller, with somebody in his mirrors that he's really racing against. So here's the battle for 6 between Abril, Auer and Agudelo, which is for a net 5th place. As a mind, it looks like he's on course for another good points finish. He's 10th at the moment, but should be promoted to 9th once Muller comes in and makes his stop. You've got Book 11th, Glock 12th, Paul 13th, Moot 14th, Florsch 15th, Hawkey 16th from the back of the field, Gore 17th, and Alban in 18th place. A long, long way down. Remember, Alex, a real championship contender as well. Good day yesterday, really good day at the Nürburgring, but today it wasn't to be. So 1.1 seconds the gap from Nico Muller to Liam Lawson now. Another 1:30.6 for Nico. He's like metronomic, isn't he? Lap after lap, he can do exactly the same thing. 1:30.1, half a second quicker for Liam Lawson on the much fresher tyres. And the Ferrari, which was 14 seconds behind Nico Muller when he made his pit stop, now almost can see the Audi just ahead of him. First, second and third then coming through over the line with 17 minutes plus 1 lap left on the clock. The gap from Lawson to Vittman is the key one though, and that remains at 0.8 of a second. 0.8 between first and second, 0.8 between second and third as they head up through towards turn 2 and towards the first gear hairpin. The right-hander here at the Red Bull Ring. Going to the top of the hill and heading through there. The gap will come down further still. Team Rosberg, watch on. Their man Nico Muller in the lead. Dev Gore, the American, further down the field.
When I push 2-3 laps, the tyres are gone for 2 laps off.
So Nico says the tyres are going, so they've been gone for 2 laps now, but actually he's just done a 1:30.4, which is better than the recent laps he's been doing by a couple of tenths. And it's only a 10th away from his best lap of the race, so he's doing a fine job here of managing those tyres, managing the car. The car is obviously pretty kind on the tyres as well, but I think a lot of credit to Nico here, who's still battling away. It's not where he wants to be. Well, he is, he's first, but it's not really first place, if you see what I mean. The season certainly hasn't gone the way he wants, but he's not one for giving up, Nico Muller. He'll still battle away, even if it's just to try and scrape a couple of points out of the weekend. So Liam Lawson will be hoping Nico peels off into the pit lane soon, or that he waves him through, because Marco Vittman sees this potentially as an opportunity. If Lawson gets held up through one corner by Muller, Vittman is going to be on him like a rash. So here they come, 0.4 of a second between first and second and third. Marco Vittman in the number 11 BMW trying to set this up now for a move. Flashing the headlights is Liam Lawson, but he's not a back marker. He doesn't have to wave you through. Liam Lawson is going to get through, I reckon. Nico's not going to make life too difficult for him. Can Marco Vittman get through? That's the question as well. Before he turns into the corner, no. Can he get him out of the corner and not lose any time? Possibly. He's not quite close enough yet. Lawson's gone ahead. So he's the outright race leader now anyway. Muller still to make that pit stop, but Marco Vittman hasn't got past him yet. So there's a bit of a cushion now for Liam as he goes on the brakes down into turn 4 at Rauch. Begins that winding run out through turn 5. Almost one corner leading into the next now. And then downhill into the left-handers at 6 and 7. 7 named Graz after the nearest city, the capital city of the region, at an hour's drive from here. Marco Vittman still not through as they go through Graz, down through turn 8 and continue the roller coaster ride downhill.
Come on, Nico, get the fuck out of the way.
Slightly frustrated Liam Lawson there. Apologies for the colourful language, but as you can imagine, adrenaline is running high. Liam's got a race to try and win. Come on, old chap, move aside, would you? You did in the end, but he still hasn't allowed Marco Vittman to come through. So Marco's language is now probably slightly more edgy, but he'll get through all the way into turn 1, the BMW through. But having got to within 0.4 of a second of Liam Lawson, the gap's back out to over a second now. Biggest it's been, really, for a long, long time. Since the pit stops, more or less. So Lawson leads, Vittman second, Muller third, but still to make his pit stop. Max Gotts is 4th, but on for a podium finish here, a second of the weekend. Second and a third, good effort. 5-second time penalty, I'm afraid, for Esme Hawkey for multiple disrespecting track limits, it says. So Esme is going to get 5 seconds added onto her time. It's not actually going to affect her position at the moment, because she's 13 seconds clear of Dev Gore. But she's only 2.6 seconds behind Sophia Florsch, so even if she overtakes Sophia, that 5-second penalty is likely still to put her back to where she is in 16th place at the moment. I wonder if she'll be the last one to get a penalty. Dev Gore picked up a penalty yesterday for multiple track limits infringements, but was the only one in the end. Speaking of which, Dev has just come into the pits, and that's an unscheduled stop retirement. Yesterday, straight into the garage for Dev Gore. It's a second consecutive retirement. Not a happy return to the DTM after having to sit out the Nürburgring for the 23-year-old American, I'm afraid. It's been a tough first visit to the Red Bull Ring. Daniel Hungadea ahead of Lucas Auer on the timing screens as they came through, half a second apart. And there you go, Daniel Hungadea edging away now from Lucas Auer, who's got another problem coming in the shape of Kelvin Van Der Linde. Remember, Kelvin kind of waved through Daniel Hungadea because he knew the battles later in the race would be important. Thomas BMR and the team watching on. Kelvin's team boss, there he is in the number 3 Audi, coming into the braking zone. Arjun Mani not that far behind him either. And then it's a bit spread out further back from that. 1.4 seconds, the gap between Lawson and Vittman now. So he lost a second while he was sat behind Nico Müller for a lap. So we heard Liam getting frustrated, but it was Vittman that actually came off worst in all of that. Now Daniel Hungadea edging away from Lucas Auer. He's going to try to catch up to the yellow Vincent Abril-driven Mercedes, which is 6th on the road, but a net 5th. On board with Kelvin Van Der Linde, 9th at the moment. He'll be promoted to 8th once Müller comes in. But a time penalty of 5 seconds now for Daniel Hungadea for track limits. Now that's going to be good news for the championship leader because he's within 5 seconds of Daniel Hungadea. So Daniel needs to get his head down now and pull as far away from those behind as he can, because 5 seconds is going to be added onto his time. And as you can see, 5 seconds at the moment would cost him at least 3 places. The next 3 cars of Auer, who he's just passed, Van Der Linde and Mine, are all within that range, and Max Boot probably as well. So just when it was starting to go right for Daniel Hungadea, he's fallen foul of the track limits issues. Timo Glock has just got a warning for the same thing. So he's had a warning, he had a couple of warnings, and then you start getting these penalties, I'm afraid. Don't think Kelvin's had any warnings, so he's had a clean run so far. Smart thinking from the championship leader. So with Dev Gore into retirement, there's 17 cars left in the race. Alex Alban is at least promoted to 17th, but nowhere near the points, I'm afraid, despite the fact that he's going very rapidly. Only driver quicker than him on the track at the moment, and it's only by a fraction, is his teammate Liam Lawson, the race leader, with whom you ride on board now. So 10 minutes to go. 1.5 seconds his advantage. He's edged away another 10th from Marco Vittman. He's got a clear road ahead of him. Just in a rhythm of his own now. On for the almost perfect weekend here at the Red Bull Ring. With the Red Bull logo firmly and proudly emblazoned upon the side of the AF Corsa Run Ferrari. This is what the gap looks like if you're Marco Vittman. You're right on board with the second place BMW. 1.5 seconds. Doesn't sound a lot, but it looks a lot, doesn't it, when you're in the cockpit of the car. Rolling down through the final turn at turn 10 then. Still downhill as you go over the start-finish line. And then it starts to rise steeply as you get to the braking zone for turn 1. Through come the top 2. Crowd watching on. Is it going to be another Ferrari victory here, or can Marco Vittman dig in deep in the remaining 10 minutes of the race? Lawson does a 1:30.258. Vittman does a 1:30.209. Half a tenth quicker on that lap. Gets the gap down fractionally. Müller still third on the road. But the real third place car, Max Scott's, was a long, long way back. He, though, 5 seconds clear of Philip Ellis now, so it's a fairly lonely race for Max Scott's, but it's going to be a fairly comfortable one as well, it seems, as he heads for another podium finish. That'll be 3 from the last 5 now on the podium for Max Scott's, building a nice championship campaign here. There is Max Scott's leading Mercedes in the race. Mercedes haven't won at this track since 2003. Came close yesterday, but he'll have to settle for 15 points today, I think. On board with it now. This can have its challenges. Nobody to follow, nobody to fend off. You're on your own. But you've got to keep the concentration up every single corner, every gear change, every time you hit the brakes, every time you turn in, every time you accelerate. stay focused, stay alert. Can be a hard thing, however. He's a driver who's done plenty of endurance racing in the past, so he'll be used to it. Got to come through. GT Masters champion amongst other things in the past. And there's the gap from first to second, which has come down again. So Marco Vittman winding it up as Nico Müller comes into the pits. Last of the pit stoppers then. Not as late as yesterday. He's going to give himself just under 8 minutes plus a lap to try and use these new tyres and get himself into the top 10. I think he's going to rejoin in around about 13th, I would say. Somewhere near Max Paul. There is Max in the Lamborghini, just behind him. In fact, he's going to be behind Esteban Moot as well. So that will put him 14th. He's going to get 4 places just to get a single championship point. See what he can do. They're much quicker, though, on those new tyres. So, remember, Daniel Hunkadea has got a 5-second penalty to add to his time. There he is in the pink Group M number 8 Mercedes. 5 seconds added onto his time at the moment puts him behind Lucas Auer, Kelvin Van Der Linde and Arjun Maini, and just about Max Buch. So putting potentially out of the points here. Of course, the team have done all they can now. Can it be a second victory for their man, Liam Lawson? Well, again, it's not going to be a comfortable final few minutes of the race here. Yesterday, the pressure late on came from Max Gotts. Today, it comes from Marco Vittman. And he's getting closer still. Takes a bit of time out of him in the middle sector, but the first sector, he was 2 tenths up. So the gap has come down again to just under 8 tenths of a second. Start on the end of the lap where the BMW a little bit quicker, but through the high-speed stuff in the middle of the lap, the high-speed turns. As he said yesterday, Liam Lawson, the Ferrari, handles beautifully. So here we go. This is Marco Vittman homing in, under-braking, getting the gap down to just about a car length now, with just 6 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Lawson looking for his 3rd win of the season to equal the number of wins that Kelvin Van Der Linde has got. But more importantly, it's the points. It's the 25 points. He doesn't want to give 7 of those away by dropping behind Marco Vittman and only getting 18. Kelvin Van Der Linde is on for a net 7th at the moment, with Hunkadea's penalty coming into play. So 25 points for Lawson as it stands, and 6 for Van Der Linde. 19 the difference. And he'll get to within 10 points of the championship leader, but he's got to keep Marco Vittman behind him in these closing stages. And Marco desperately wants to get his first win since Zolder. It certainly looks like he's going to make it 10 out of 10 in terms of points finishes so far this year. When you start on pole position, unless you win, you're always going backwards. So the hope's high for Marco Vittman, but he won't take a silly risk. He'll know that second place is still a very strong result, and the Ferrari has been the car to beat around here so far this weekend, that's for sure. Vittman, if he gets a chance, and it's a clear chance, we'll see what he can do. Driving the wheels off the BMW, that is for sure. He's got the gap to 6 tenths of a second now. Through the first sector, he was 3 tenths quicker on the previous lap. That's where he's getting all the time at the start of the lap on the run-up to the hairpin. From here on in, through the middle of the lap, the Ferrari's got the edge just. Not much in it, but the Ferrari just has the edge, particularly through 6 and 7. But then through 8, 9 and 10, the last bit of the lap, the BMW comes back at him a little bit. So it's cat and mouse here. But overall, the gap dwindling ever so slightly each sector, each and every lap. But the time is also ticking down, just over 4 minutes to go. These are crucial points for Liam Lawson. You don't get weekends like this very often, and you have to maximise them if you get the chance. He's got the chance, and the destiny is in his own hands at the moment. He's been flawless so far this weekend. Well, Marco Vittman is a proper title contender. It will not be easy to keep at bay. Now, Daniel Hunkadea has got himself onto the tail of Vincent Abril, but he's got his 5-second penalty, which, with Auer and Van Der Linde still right behind him, is still going to cost him a good number of positions here. So Daniel Hunkadea, really all he can do is try and get past Vincent Abril and get his head down and pull further away. But it's going to be difficult, this. It's going to cost him potentially 4, maybe 5 places at the end of the race, Daniel Hunkadea. Might just get into the points Nico Muller is still 14th. On the new tyre, he's just on 130.3. So he's not massively quicker than he was on the old tyres, 0.3 quicker. Oh, sorry, no, 130.9. So he's slower on that lap. And he's going slower now than he was on the old tyres, and he's not being held up by Esteban Moot because he's not right behind him yet. So that's a bit curious. There's Kelvin Van Der Linde, the championship leader, 8th on the road, but he's on for a 7th place finish here. Daniel Hungadea, the driver, 2 places ahead of him on the road with this 5-second penalty. Arjun Maini can't quite get involved in the fight, can he? In the 9th place, number 36 car, the Team Get Speed machine. Through they charge. Not very much at all between them. Somebody makes a slight mistake. Possibly going to lose a place or two here because it's so evenly matched, but at the moment, nobody is. Philip Ellis, though, starting to get a queue forming up behind him, isn't he? It'll be a stressful final couple of minutes for Philip, like he had yesterday. Maybe not quite as stressful, but nonetheless, he's got to keep on his toes here. Queue of 4 cars, possibly 5 soon, with Arjun Maini trying to get in the mix as well. All going to be behind him. Up front, Liam Lawson, 6/10 clear still, last time they came through. But slightly quicker overall on the lap was Marco Vittman, the BMW, still putting the pressure on. There's Max Scott's all on his own in 3rd place. Over the line next, Philip Ellis in 4th. Vincent Abril, who is in 5th place. And on for his 2nd best result of the season to follow on from the 4th place he got at Zolder. He did, of course, finish on the podium at Monza, but got the result taken away from him. Here's the top 2. Class apart, aren't they? 14.5 seconds clear, the race leader is, of Max Scott's in 3rd place. 21 seconds clear of the driver in 4th. So that just goes to show how good a job Liam Lawson and Marco Vittman have done in this race. They are in a league of their own, free to race each other without fear of anybody else getting involved. 1 minute left on the clock, plus 1 lap at the end of the 55. Making their way through the final sector of the laps. They're going to start the next lap before the time runs out, run out on the next lap, with 2 laps to go. Through they come, almost nose to tail. Marco Vittman not close enough to strike yet. He can get a bit closer at the end of the lap, though. We know he's very good at the start of the lap through turn 1. Way out wide they go, on the ragged edge here. As one tries to defend the lead, the other tries to take it away. Over the line they go, 27 seconds left on the clock. So clock runs out on this lap, plus 1, 2 laps to go. Through turn 1, the gap is under 0.6 of a second now, 0.597 seconds. That's all the difference between 25 points and 18. Liam Lawson stays in the middle of the road, climbs the hill up through turn 2, into the braking zone now for turn 3. This is where the BMW inches up towards the back of the Ferrari. But Liam is good coming out of the corner. Through the 1st sector, a 10th quicker, Marco Vittman. But once he gets to this point, Liam knows that the Ferrari is underneath him. And the BMW doesn't really close the gap. At the end of the lap, he might come out to him a little bit more. But he can almost breathe a sigh of relief through this middle part of the lap. He's still got to stay absolutely on it, though. One moment here could change the whole game. Liam Lawson, hugely mature head on his shoulders for a 19-year-old. You think about this, he's 19, he's been racing for a decade pretty much, and he's driving a Ferrari in a high-profile international championship. Most 19-year-olds have only learned to drive a car on the road a couple of years ago, so it's quite phenomenal, really. You forget how young these star drivers are. But Liam Lawson doing the perfect job at the moment, keeping a very, very good competitor at bay, just about at arm's length. He's got to do it for 1 more lap, though. Looks about even Stevens on this lap. Through there will come. Yeah, Lawson was 4/10 quicker through the middle sector. Through the end of the lap, a bit of time gained back from Marco Vittman, but overall the gap has grown back to 0.7 of a second at the start of this final lap of the race. 1 more time on the brakes into the turn 3 right-hander, but Vittman isn't close enough to lunge. No risks, it says, to Hungadea in 6th place. That's because he's already got this warning and penalty for track limits. P6, but a 5-second penalty coming his way. Frustrating for the Spaniard after what's actually been a good performance in this race. The car looks to have handled well. It's made good ground from the middle of the pack up to 6th, but that penalty is going to cost him dear. right through. Liam Lawson comes into his safe zone. This is his happy place, the middle of the lap where the car works absolutely perfectly. Pretty close to perfect everywhere else, to be honest, but Liam Lawson still has this BMW in his mirrors, still waiting to pounce. Marco Vittman, though, just cannot quite get close enough to attack. He's flinging it over the curbs. He's trying everything here, but the opportunities to overtake are running out. They're really earlier in the lap at turn 3 and turn 4. Flashes the lights, just tries to disturb him. He gets as close as he's been now, coming through the final run, this final sector of the lap. But Liam Lawson is almost there. He can almost see the checkered flag. He comes out of the last corner. The BMW right in his mirrors. It's going to be nose to tail, but it's going to be another victory. Another 25 points for Liam Lawson. He takes the win with Marco Vittman just behind.
Masterclass. Fucking hell, that was great. Great race, Liam. Great race.
Well, that
yes, guys, yes. Good job, really, really good job. Oh my god, that was close. Yeah, he was backing off and pushing again. I had no idea. I was maxed out, absolutely maxed out.
I bet he was for the last 3 corners. That was a bit more stressful than I thought it was going to be when they went on to the start of the final lap of the race. But he's done it. Liam Lawson is the winner. Second to Vittman, third to Gotts.
Because, first of all, those pit stops, it's just, in my opinion, not fair. I'm not a bad loser. He did a great job, but still, I think the rules, they should be fair for all of them. And with the track limits, obviously, yeah, what to say.
So Marco Vittman giving his opinion on something we talked about earlier in the season with a slightly different system with the wheels that the AF Corsa team have with their pit stops. And that was where the race was won and lost, really, in the pit stop, wasn't it? Because before that, Marco had had a 1 second advantage. After it, it was a second behind, more than a second behind. And then he was talking about track limits and not really being able to push as much as he would have liked, but certainly made life tough through that final few corners, didn't he? 2/10 in the end was all that the difference was. Still, another strong drive from Marco Vittman. But Liam Lawson, 2 wins, a pole, a second place finish. From a possible 56 points this weekend, he scored 55 points. Gotts comes home in a fairly lonely 3rd place. Philip Ellis 4th, Lucas Auer 5th. Kelvin Van Der Linde is promoted to 6th place because of this penalty for Daniel Hunkerdale, which put him down to 12th in the end. So Van Der Linde 6th, Miney 7th, Abril 8th, Book in 9th. Timo Glock gets a point again. So like yesterday, in the top 10, that's 3 on the trot now for Timo. Not quite where he wants to be, but at least he's starting to score some points now. And a strong 11th place finish as well for Maximilian Paul on his first weekend in DTM. He almost gets into the points. There's confirmation of the results then. 25 points coming the way of Liam Lawson. And in terms of the points scored for Kelvin Van Der Linde for 6th place, he's going to get 8 points. So 17 the difference between them. He's pulled 20 back up till that race and another 17 back. He's scored him, what, 37 points this weekend. Got himself right back in the championship fight. He was only 6 points behind Max Gotts. Max was behind him in the race, and he's outscored Max Gotts by 10 points. So Liam Lawson, he's going to move back up to 2nd place in the championship. 5th at the start of the weekend after a bad run of luck. And now he finds himself almost within touching distance of Kelvin Van Der Linde with 3 weekends to go. It has been Liam Lawson's weekend. He's gone from being a 1-time DTM winner to a 3-time DTM winner in the space of just over 24 hours. He wins, Marco Vittman 2nd, and that really seen much of Max Gotts, but he was there all the way through for that 3rd place finish. And he remains very much in contention as well. Well, Liam Lawson had to work hard. He had to be flawless. He was. He wins. He's back in the fight. Marco Vittman, slightly disappointed, you sense, with that 2nd place finish. Of course he was. He started on pole. Yeah, definitely a bit downbeat. You can see from the body language. What can we do? However, he keeps on nailing the consistency and the points. Still the only driver to be in the points in every single race. And in every race but 2, he's been in the top 6 as well, Marco Vittman. Number 1, Liam Lawson. Thumbs up from the 19-year-old. The nation of New Zealand continues to be very proud of its rising star. He's applauded back. A successful weekend. That's an understatement. There he goes into the arms of the team. Well, of course, the Italian team, Austrian circuit, Austrian sponsor, Kiwi racer, dream combination. So a fine performance from Liam Lawson, and there you go, 12 points the difference is at the end of it, after being 49 behind at the start of the weekend. Kelvin Van Der Linde leads the championship still, but by a much reduced margin. Lawson up to second in the points, Gott's third on 131, has closed the gap as well. It's only 16 points between first and third. And Marco Vittman, fourth place on 121 points. So there, Marco Vittman there, one of the very distinguishable trophies that you get here at the Red Bull Ring. Can of the sponsor's drink to replenish the energy. There's the always smiley, always humorous Max Gott's taking a swig of water, filtered water no doubt, from his sponsor BWT. And the music begins to play. The drivers begin to make preparations to head onto the podium for the final time this weekend. So we'll call the drivers up in reverse order. Third, then second, then the winning team, and then the race winner. Max Gott, terrific weekend. A second and a third. He's closed the gap at the top of the championship table, but he's fallen behind Liam Lawson. He comes home in third place. And in second place for Volkenhorst Motorsport, it's Marco Vittman, who comes home with his third podium of the season. And the winning team, of course, is AF Corsa. It's Ron Reichart, the technical and sporting director of AF Corsa, that will be brought up to collect their trophy. We've seen him up on the podium earlier on in the season, so all smiles for Ron, as you would when such a great weekend has been had. But here we go, it's going to be a rapturous round of applause now for your double race winner here at the Red Bull Ring. The smile has never been broader. He's back in the game. Liam Lawson heads to the top step of the podium after, let's call it, the perfect weekend. And now we get to hear Liam Lawson's national anthem one more time here in Austria. The national anthem of New Zealand plays here at the Red Bull Ring. Now, three-time winner in the DTM, Liam Lawson. And that's his sixth podium of the season as well. He had 3 from 4 races where he didn't score points, but that has become a distant memory after this weekend. Great job, though, by Max Gott and the HRT squad this weekend. The Mercedes driver with his second trophy of the weekend here in Austria. And then we'll have the second place trophy presented. And skier Thomas Dresen is our special guest today. We had 7-time world rally champion Sebastian Ogier yesterday, and Mark Surer, ex-Formula 1 racer. But today it's a ski star that presents what's the second place trophy to the Volkenhorst BMW driver Marco Vittman. And winning team AF Corsa, the mayor of Graz, which is the capital city of this beautiful state here in southeast Austria, Styrian States, presents the trophy to Ron Reichart of AF Corsa. That just leaves one. Liam said yesterday to Verena, they're not as heavy as they look, these trophies, but it's a great trophy. Everything here is done properly, and the mayor presents the winner's trophy to Liam Lawson in what's now his favourite circuit in the world, the Red Bull Ring. Unbeaten around here in DTM this weekend. That despite 25 kilograms of success ballast for that second race. Terrific effort by Liam. up to second in the championship, with Assen to come in a couple of weeks' time as our next round of the championship. Then it's to Hockenheim in October, back-to-back weekends with the Norris Ring Street Circuit, which could be all sorts of interest and completely unpredictable way to end the season for the 8th rounds 15 and 16 of the championship. That's all still to come, but for now, enjoy the moment. Liam Lawson, your race winner once again, as the champagne is sprayed only by 0.2 of a second. Very close at the end of the race, but he did enough to take the victory and all those points, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Max Gotts gets him right in the face with the champagne. Ron Rijkaard, he's relentless, isn't he, Max? Keeps on releasing it. Ron Rijkaard got it in the face about 4 times there. Wasn't quick enough to run away, but he probably couldn't see what he was doing. So all that nice sticky champagne in the heat here at the Red Bull Ring is going to start to attract the insects again, no doubt. It was a wasp attack, wasn't it, yesterday on Liam Lawson when he was speaking to Verena at the end of the race. But he probably doesn't care one jot after what's been a terrific weekend. But it keeps changing here. The different circuits that we go to suit different cars. All changes with the balance of performance. It's just unpredictable. And once we get to the back end of the season, the weather could come into play as well. So this is far from decided. Right, our top 3 drivers all have different stories to tell. Let's find out what they have to say down with Verena.
I've got Maxi Gotts here from P4 to P3, and you seem very thirsty today.
Yeah, in the end it was the maximum, and I was really enjoying it. I was thirsty. It was quite hot in the car, and I was really pushing to at least stay close to the car, to the guys in front, but it was no chance. So I hope for a fight going on in the front, so catching up. This was my idea, but in the end the pace from these guys were too quick today. But I have to be happy with the weight in the car we had. And yeah, in P3 I think it's the maximum we could achieve today.
Unfortunately, you also lost your 2nd place in the championship, but obviously you still have time from here. But I meant thirst in regards to the champagne. I couldn't even get you away from the bottle.
Yeah. No, of course I will empty it. So that's I will do for sure now.
All right, and obviously, I mean, you're going to push hard at the next race weekend, because I'm pretty sure that you're not happy with this, and you're going to be going under attack.
I think I'm happy because we have to see the package we had the weekend. I was the quickest Merc all the time, and the others were behind and slower than me. So I'm happy with the result we could achieve, and I think Ferrari and BMW were just too strong today.
All right, thank you so much, Maxi. I'm going to grab just quickly Marco. Congratulations, Marco. Before Sat1 grabs you, let me just ask you, from P1 to P2, unfortunately, you were hunting down Liam. You're trying your best. I think it was a fraction of a second, but there was just no way.
Yeah, well, no way. I have to say I'm quite frustrated, obviously, when you start on pole, and looking at our pace from the start onwards, it was incredible. Obviously, there are a bit difference in pit stop BOP at the moment, where we have no chance against the Ferrari Mercs, I have to say. And then, obviously, I mean, I'm not a bad loser. He did a fantastic job, Liam. But obviously, he was a bit more than just 3 or 4 times over the track limits, and I mean there is a rule which should apply to it, and for whatever reason it didn't happen today, and that is obviously a bit frustrating, I have to admit.
I believe that, and I guess that's racing also, right? We all know that, but nonetheless, we're going to see you come back strong at the next race weekend. Okay, Marco?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and we're going to grab Liam, because obviously the winner, the man who made it happen twice in a row, Liam Lawson. He needs to grab his drink. No problem, we've got time. So congratulations, Liam. You really made it possible. 2 victories in a row. So, I mean, how thrilled are you?
Very, very thrilled. It's been an epic weekend. A lot better than we expected. We hoped for something like this, but to get both victories in a weekend is very difficult, especially with the added weights. Today, Marco was definitely quicker than me, but I think the BMW struggles on the brakes, because I was able to always brake a little bit later, and honestly that's what saved me. But really, really good result for the team. They absolutely nailed the pit stop today when it really counted, and this is what made the race, honestly.
And it's a Red Bull team on a Red Bull track, so how does that feel, and how delighted is the team exactly winning here twice in a row? I
was saying yesterday, this is, I guess, like a second sort of home race for us, more for Red Bull as well. It's epic to win here. So we had the one in Monza for Ferrari, which was really, really cool, but to have the both of them this weekend is very, very cool. And let's not forget, you're a rookie in the DTM, but watching you race, it seems like you've never done anything else than racing in DTM. honestly, the guys, we have the best team. Honestly, they work so hard. We tested. I mean, lots of guys, I think, are saying that we're way too fast this weekend and things like that. But we tested last week, and that's why I think we're so strong, honestly, because we got a lot of data from that. We're very limited with tyres on a race weekend. So to have new tyres last week and do all the testing means that we know exactly how we want the car for the races.
You did an incredible job and your
Thank
team
you.
as well. Thank you so much,
Thanks
Liam.
very much.
Back to the commentator.
Thanks, Verena. Great rugby team, great cricket team, great racing drivers. Is there anything they can't do in New Zealand? Liam Lawson, a real star then here at the Red Bull Ring, and absolutely delighted with the job that his Italian-run team have done. His first victory since that visit to Monza at the start of the season. So Assen coming up next in 2 weeks' time as we return to the Netherlands for the 6th weekend of the season on the 17th, 18th and 19th of September. And from there then into the back end of the season where the weather might come into play. Hockenheim is the first weekend of October, the 1st, 2nd and 3rd. And after that, it's straight to the Norris Ring 1 weekend later for the 15th and 16th rounds of the championship. There'll be a few more twists in the story, no doubt, but Kelvin Van Der Linde, for now, holds on to the championship lead. From me, Chris Hartley, in the commentary box, hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the races this weekend. And let's hand back one more time now to Verena.
Thank you to our commentator. And yes, I've always wanted to hold one of these. I hope Liam doesn't mind I'm borrowing it. And I wanted to know if it's heavy. No, it's not as heavy as it looks. And it's fantastic that we had such a fantastic race weekend here in Spielberg at the Red Bull Ring. And we're really looking forward to in 2 weeks, because then we'll be in Assen. So see you then. And now here are the highlights. I'm going to work on my tan here and see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Fucking hell, that was great. Great race, Liam. Great race.